The learning component of the model includes crafting classroom activities according to the best principles of promoting learning. The principles of learning are active involvement, patterns and connections, informal learning, direct experience, reflection, compelling situation, frequent feedback, and enjoyable setting. More information on this can be found in the Technology as Facilitator of Quality Education model. The students in this Introduction to Black Studies course are reviewing what they have learned about race and race relations. 3 high schools participate in the course via the Iowa Communications Network. The teacher engages the students in a discussion to help them identify patterns and connections in their learning. He encourages the students to make a backward-reaching transfer of knowledge by helping them make connections to their prior knowledge.
Now, if somebody can remind me quickly, what's the definition of power? Definition of power. Remember, you still got to use your mic. If you don't use your mic, they won't hear you at the other side. Definition of power.
Power is the ability to define reality and have other people respond to your definition as if it's their own.
Now, the key with that is recognizing that you're going to get other people to accept your definition of what is real. Now, with that redefining racism, it really was saying, okay, let's rethink what other people have told us about what racism is, what it's not. And then with the article that you had in the Courier that started talking about what is acting black, what is acting white, now you're going to be forced to define reality for yourself. Okay? Define it for yourself. Now, that doesn't mean everybody in the world going to walk around a different set of reality. It does mean that you've got to question what you've been told. Now, before we start questioning that, I want to go right back, though, to that term race. Anybody remember what word we used instead of race? There was a term I said works better for us instead of race. Anybody? What word did we use instead of race? Started with an E.
Ethnic group?
Yeah, ethnic group. Instead of the word race, we're using ethnic, because ethnicity really means those things that make us look different.
The teacher asks the students to redefine the concept of race and to think about the origins of racial attitudes. As the students participate in this discussion, they use critical thinking to examine ideas, question their validity, and draw conclusions based on the resulting ideas. This demonstrates the process of reflection.
So even the title, Redefining Racism, then with our definition of power says you have an opportunity to even redefine that. So let's go back and start to recap. Share with me some of the stuff that you have found out or that you have been thinking about that you did not already know. That I'm talking specifically about the article that Mr. Jones shared and the tape.
There was a lot of stuff in it that I don't think any of us realized before, like that sometimes even black people, they assume that white people are better and get better grades and stuff like that, when really that's not true at all.
Okay. So now we're having someone she's saying that she found something in there that, again, going back to that definition of power, that many people didn't realize that there are many black people who are assuming that because somebody's white that they're smarter or better.
The students establish patterns and connections by applying concepts they found in a newspaper article to their own experience. They engage in sense-making as they extrapolate what they have learned to make it meaningful in a new situation. The teacher gives the students frequent feedback. He provides supportive feedback by encouraging the students when they contribute to the class discussion.
I have a question.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, say I don't act smart. Does that mean that I'm acting black then? If it's vice versa like that too?
Okay. And that's an excellent question, because in effect, now notice what he's doing. He's saying, okay, if the article is correct, okay, if the article is correct, that many black people assume that acting smart is acting white. Now let's say if he takes himself out of the equation and then says, then does that mean that when someone black wants to lower their grade and not do as well, if they think then that they're acting black, then if someone white is not doing well in school, does that mean they're acting black? Because you never hear that. But can you see then where his question would come from?
The teacher gives the students opportunities for reflection. The students engage in a transfer of knowledge as they extend concepts they have learned to a new context.
If when we were in Africa, we knew that we were knowledgeable, intelligent people, and we enjoyed learning and teaching that whole experience, and remembering that the Moors brought public libraries to what's now Europe, they did it through Spain, then we get here and we start thinking differently and acting differently, then we go back to that definition of power, the ability to define reality and have other people respond to your definition as if it were your own. How does that fit in with what happened to us from being black and smart to being smart being associated with being white and that definition of power? The question makes sense?
Yeah, I said due to the Holocaust and due to slavery, we were stripped of our knowledge from the past.
Okay. So then you're saying that the Holocaust of enslavement and having your knowledge of the past taken away, then someone can reprogram you.
The teacher explains the concept of redefining reality by using a soap opera as an illustration. The students begin to identify patterns and connections between abstract concepts and concrete situations.
Have you ever watched Days of Our Lives?
Yeah.
Okay, and now they usually have a lady named Hope or Rachel, and Hope or Rachel always, something happens, they get hit in the head, and they forget who they are, right? And when they forget who they are, when they come to, what happens? What do they spend a long time trying to do?
They always trying to like figure out what happened to them when they lost their memory.
Okay, so if Hope was a billionaire when she lost her memory, and then she comes to and people tell her, oh no, you were broke. Okay, if Hope was a student at Harvard, 4.0, she comes to and says, oh no, you dropped out in 3rd grade. How is she going? Is she going to act differently? So basically, somebody can redefine her reality for her. Okay. And then if she finds out the truth, you think she would start acting different? The power, when people tell you who you are, you act to raise or lower your expectations to fit that.